For more than a decade, African Voices has brought you the stories of individuals ranging from athletes to creators to entertainers. For our next chapter, we'll be telling the stories of people on this continent doing positive and innovative things that impact communities and transform lives. We call them the change makers, and they are everywhere. I'm Aritokwo here in Lagos, Nigeria, and I'll be your host. This is African Voices. Allow me to introduce to you the change makers.
I provide children living with limb loss in Nigeria with prosthetic limbs to help them live independent lives. 555. My name is Crystal Chigbu and I am a change maker.
Things move a little bit slower when you have a child with a missing limb. But as Crystal Chigbu has learned, a child with a lost limb doesn't have to be a child with limitations.
After the amputation, I think I was the one that was scared because I was wondering how would she be able to stand in water. But I realized that this is one sport where she's able to express herself, where she sometimes just goes underwater and she's just so safe there.
Crystal's 10-year-old daughter Beulah has been an inspiration to her family in many ways. But before there was inspiration, they went through a whole range of other emotions.
6 days after I gave birth to my daughter, we were told that we had to amputate our limb. Actually, when she was giving birth to, she had a missing tibia on her right leg and also the patella, which is called tibia hemilimia. It wasn't an easy decision at all. And I would cry every day.
Because of their religious beliefs, Crystal and her husband were hesitant to go through with the amputation. They resisted for more than 2 years, but then Beulah started asking questions.
But one day she came back from school and asked, "Mommy, why am I crawling when everyone else in my class is walking?" For us, that was really one of the toughest periods because we did not know how to handle it. My husband actually asked her, "How would you feel having a leg that will make you walk around?" And she jumped at the offer and she said, I would really like that, Daddy. I want to walk.
This looks like one from when I was young. This was the first one with a knee component. When I progressed to 6 years, I started thinking I didn't want to cover. I think it's prettier this way.
Beulah has adjusted well to living with a prosthetic limb, but her mother never forgot how difficult the decision-making process was. She also learned that many people in Nigeria are going through the same situation, many with far fewer resources than she had.
In all of this, I realized that the concern that most of them had was how they were going to be able to fund the prostheses. They weren't sure of how they'll be able to maintain giving their child prostheses because they were indigent. So for me, I was like, okay, what if I'm able to put resources together from my friends and give these children limbs?
In 2012, Crystal started by helping just one child, a girl with both her legs amputated.
And so I raised the funds and I went back to the family and said, I'm going to be able to give your child limbs. And they were so surprised, they were shocked. And around September, October, the girl got 2 limbs and she was able to walk. And her father cried. And for me, that was life-changing and transforming. And all I just wanted to do was put a smile on another person's face. So in October of 2012, I decided that I was going to make this formal and I was going to, just work one child at a time.
So she made the foundation official and gave it a name derived from her biggest inspiration.
The foundation is called IREDE Foundation. IREDE means goodness has come. And my daughter's name, her cultural name is Ireoluwade. That's the goodness of the Lord has come. So basically it was coined from her name.
This has my favorite color.
And also thinking that what happens to you once you get a prosthetic limb and you can now walk again or use your hand again, then goodness has come to you. We need volunteers to help with the limb acquisition process.
Crystal eventually quit her job as a salesperson at Procter & Gamble to run the foundation full-time.
We did one child and it was easy to get 500,000 from my friends. But when we started planning to do more kids, then it became a bit tougher because a limb at that time costed almost about ₦1 million. And so raising that money initially was very difficult, but we've worked more with individuals, crowdfunding to work more with individual donors. And also some people have supported from the private sector, seeing the work that we do.
To date, she says the foundation has provided 82 children with 115 prosthetic limbs. Crystal expects the foundation to provide 50 more limbs by the end of the year, including one for this girl.
Kamsi was not born with a congenital deformity. It's as a result of trauma. She had an accident, and as a result of that, she got amputated. So it's going to be a lot of process for them, even as a family, trying to understand how to help her emotionally because they've not been here before.
Yeah.
But I just want you to tell me again, what happened to Kamsi?
Her mom decided to take she and her elder sister on a bike. She chose what she wanted to put on that day. She had her cap on, and while they were going, the wind blew the cap away, and the bike man wanted to pick the cap, and that was it. They fell down, and which resulted to a fracture.
Counseling families is a big part of what Crystal does. She even went back to school to learn life coaching skills so she can help families cope with situations that can be hard to accept.
You've been strong all this while.
It's okay.
But it's just the questions she asks sometimes. Questions that I don't have answers to. Questions like, when is her leg going to come back? Because I told her, when it happened, I told her the legs will come back.
Having a child with a disability, the first thing that happens to you is denial. And for some other parents, this denial stage even gets to about 6-7 years. They keep hoping that something different will happen. They keep hoping that they will be able to do it, in a different way. Come, let me show you something.
Crystal hopes to give this family a bit of relief by providing a prosthetic leg for Kamsi. But prosthetics are not a one-size-fits-all solution. It takes skilled specialists to create them. And in this region, that can present a challenge. Beulah's prosthetic leg helps her live life like most children her age. That's what her mom hoped for after the amputation. But finding someone to make the right prosthetic for Beulah wasn't easy.
In Nigeria, we currently have 3 national orthopedic hospitals. And my experience when I worked with getting my daughter a prosthesis was I realized that I couldn't get the right kind of prosthesis for her to use. I started asking the question, does it mean that there are no prosthetists in Nigeria? And I realized that there were very few of them that existed in Nigeria at that time.
All the way in the northeast of the United States, another Nigerian is doing his part to help solve that problem.
Here we go. My name is Bola Ayo Shashono. I am a change maker. Good morning, Mr. Tunde Daramola. How are you?
I feel better.
It's better.
More relaxed.
Why I decided to get into this field is to be able to help people that need the kind of services that I provide. I mean, usually they have lost a limb, they are in so much distress, and my being able to allow them to function again, I think gives me the motivation to be in the prosthetic field. I moved to the United States in the year 1975 when I came to attend the NYU Prosthetic and Orthotic program. And I started my own practice in 1989.
After 30 years of practicing in the US, Bolahon felt a duty to provide his services in his home country.
So the need for prosthetic services is so high, not only in Nigeria, I'll probably say in the entire African continent. So it was my way of giving back to Nigeria that I decided to open a branch office in Nigeria in 2013. And I've been going to run the clinic on a monthly basis until recently when I changed it to every other month. So this is what will prevent the socket from coming out. Yeah, that's good.
His prosthetic center, which is about 100 miles north of Lagos, offers everything his US office does.
With the machines that we have here, you should be able to fabricate any type of prosthesis. I don't want a situation where we have to bring the prosthetic back here or take the one from here to Nigeria. So we make sure that everything we can do in the United States, we can also do the same or replicate it in the Nigerian lab. Now I'm getting ready to take a mold. So here you have the mold. You know, the infrared oven is on now. Once this is set, we put the plastic in. The oven will melt the plastic and we form it on here. We'll leave this for about 8 hours to cool completely. Then we will remove it from the mold, polish it on the grinders, and then invite the patient to come in and try it to work on first.
Bolahon does a wide array of prosthetics for his patients. He mainly deals with adults and say they typically pay somewhere between $2,800 and $4,000 per limb.
So I'm going to check his waist level. Yeah, it looks a little higher on the prosthetic side. On the average, I see between 25 and 40 patients in the 2 weeks that I'm there. And majority of them, we do the initial evaluation, give them the estimate, and then once they are ready to pay, they will make another appointment to come back to get their prosthetic device. But I have to say that in Nigeria, everybody wants the same level of service, the same level of equipment, but they can really not afford it. Well, my dream is to one day for prosthetic device to be available at much lower cost to anybody that needs one. Because it's unfortunate that people lose their limbs, but it's all part of life. You know, and that should not stop anybody from trying to achieve whatever it is they have in mind. So my goal is to be able to bring the cost of prosthetic devices down and make it affordable to the generality of the public. Now, the valve is putting on is to create suction inside the socket so that all the air is expelled and the socket system bond to his skin. At the end of the day, I want Nigeria to know that we've been able to impact on patients going abroad to get a prosthetic device when everything can be done in Nigeria. I thank God for allowing me to provide the type of service I provide to people both in the United States and in Nigeria. So it's a gratification for me and for the person receiving the service.
While there aren't many, there are other specialists in Nigeria who can provide this service. And luckily for Crystal Chigbu, she met one who shared her passion.
So I'm at Oko Baba in Ebute Metta. It's a colony of where you have a couple of amputees and people with disabilities staying there. Initially, they used to stay on the road, but the government has relocated them here. Basically, what I've come here to do today is to tell them what we do as an organization and how we can actually give prosthetic limbs to some of the children that live in this colony and have been amputated, and we can get them back to school. I've been speaking with the Sariki, and we're going to be meeting one of the little girls that is amputated in this colony. Can I see the leg? Can I?
Well, you could go down with it.
Yeah. Okay. So what we will try to do is we'll be able to give her like an artificial leg, something that can help her at least. She'll be able to stand and she can walk, okay?
Crystal Chigbu says she's willing to venture almost anywhere for outreach, not just to spread word about her organization, but to educate. That was her motivation when she started her annual Out on a Limb walk in 2013.
We're extending the leaf and we're raising champions.
Are sick and tired of a society that stigmatized and generalized when it came to disability. And we wanted to reach out to the society. And so we said, okay, we could have a walk and showcase what this was about.
So glad I came here.
The walk has grown to become an international event. In 2019, 18 locations around the world hosted walks, including Serbia and the US. It was at one of these walks that Crystal met a valuable partner.
I think we met when?
In 2015.
In 2015. So we were going to have our Out on a Limb walk, and he reached out and said he was going to give a child a limb. And he provided the prosthesis for that child for the year and got even more committed to the organization without actually paying him. Since 2015, he's been one of our very credible suppliers in ensuring that we make prosthesis for children.
I felt fulfilled seeing that I could help a child, and there was a platform that we could use to help a child.
Today, the child they're helping is Kamzi.
Awesome.
So these will just be rolled round just once, and we carefully roll this round. I think she's like a confident kid. A couple of children, when you do this and then they cry and they're scared, but she's very comfortable, and it'll be nice working with her. So this is supposed to be here for like 5 minutes, then it gets out and we can pull it off. The marks we put on the leg before we took the cast, they are transferred into this cast with the indelible pencil. So we're going to pour a plaster into this. When it gets dry, that's what we use to make the socket. That's the socket is the interface between her limb and the prosthesis.
Victor uses less sophisticated tools and equipment here than he does at his main lab. It helps keep costs low for the foundation, but requires him to put in a lot more sweat into the job. It takes hours of molding, chiseling, drying and sanding that goes well into the next day to make the socket that will go on Kamzi's leg.
So this feels like you have the child's limb on your hand now. So this is what the adapter looks like. We're going to trim this alongside with Kamsi to get the trimmed edge. Here's the unique thing about her stump. Over the years, she's grown. And now the bone, the tibia, fibular bone, the bone is growing out of her stump. So you can see the bone out here. So she's due for surgery in a few more weeks, where this bone is going to be cut down so she doesn't have to feel pain. So we're trying to make her something that she could use for at least a few weeks to make life easy for her before she goes in for surgery.
After making some modifications and attaching the other prosthetic parts, Kamsi is ready to try walking on 2 limbs for the first time since her accident.
One high five. So when you do 2, you do 2 high five. Okay, let's go. Wow.
You can come. So how do you feel seeing Kamsi trying to climb?
I don't know what to say. I just know that I feel very, very great. Happy that she's not up in.
She's going to get used to it. So she's already trying to move around by herself, even without anybody helping her. I think for me, really, the exciting moment is when the child gets the limb eventually. Yes, left. Because they really can't believe it. And then they're thinking of what they can do. It's priceless.
These steps Kamsi is taking are monumental, but there are many steps ahead for her and her family.
We're going to help give her prosthesis till she's 18. More importantly, we're going to help them journey through those years. And there are many other kids like Kamsi. Hey, Lema. Aisha, how are you? From the children that have come to the foundation, 80% of them are amputated as a result of mismanaged fracture and trauma. And for me especially, I know this can be stopped and we can put an end to that 80% being amputated by handling broken bones differently. Enka, how are you? Good morning. What's up
Crystal
now?
and the IREDE Foundation plan to help many more child amputees, not just by providing limbs, but by changing mindsets.
Our goal is to have over 10,000 people, specifically in the next 3 years, talking about inclusiveness of children that have been amputated around the world and raise champions of child amputees. It will be fantastic.
It's so inspiring to see those reactions when people get their prosthetics. A change-making experience for sure. Thanks for watching, and remember, anyone can be a change maker, big or small. So let us know who's making a difference in your community on our CNN Africa social channels. I'm Mari Tokwa, and I'll be back with you next week as African Voices brings you more remarkable change makers.